Okay, so good afternoon once again, everyone. So today our topic is about FinTech, digital asset, and regulatory technology or RegTech. The rapid growth of financial technology, digital asset, and regulatory technology has transformed how businesses deliver financial services, raise capital, manage compliance, and interact with regulators in the Philippines. So digital payment, electronic money, or virtual assets, blockchain platforms, and automated compliance system have created new opportunities for efficiency and inclusion, but they have also introduced complex legal risks involving fraud, consumer protection, cybersecurity, and regulatory oversight. As a result, Philippine law has evolved to address this innovation through a combination of legislation, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas regulation, Security Exchange Commission rules, and judicial decisions. And to give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter.
Thank you
Go
po.
ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'll be discussing fintech, digital assets, and regulatory technology. So, as historical overview, how did financial system evolve? So, the first financial system, like the barter system, which started around 6000 BCE, wherein there is exchanging of goods and services without money, particularly adopted in ancient Mesopotamia or modern-day Iraq. Next system is metallic coins, which is used around 650 BCE in ancient Turkey. Then it evolved to paper money, used around 6th century CE in ancient China. So then the transition from paper money to modern-day technology called fintech. So what is financial technology? Fintech. So in the Philippines, leverages cutting-edge software and algorithms to automate and enhance traditional financial services. So basically making them faster, more accessible, and often more cost-effective. This has been especially impactful in countries with a large unbanked population, offering an avenue for greater financial inclusion. So fintech involves using technology to deliver financial products and services such as mobile banking, digital payments, and online lending. So very familiar na tayo dito. It applies tools like AI, cloud computing, and data analytics to transform how financial products are designed and delivered. So the modern fintech movement in the Philippines began in the early 2000, yung famous natin na GCash, no? Which was launched on October 2004, making the earliest digital financial services in the country. So the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas actively regulates the sector and has been open to innovation, implementing initiatives like the National Retail Payment Systems, which includes real-time gross settlement systems like PesoNet and InstaPay. So aside from faster and more accessible way of doing business, why is fintech essential in commerce? So before fintech, financial services were heavily reliant on physical bank branches and ATMs, limiting access for rural or remote populations. So a large segment of the population is largely unbanked. Based on the reports from Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, prior to the major boom of fintech in digital banking, approximately 71% to 77% of Filipino adults were unbanked. So ito yung pinaka-focus ng Bangko Sentral na ma-include, as what we have mentioned earlier, ma-include yung population na considered unbanked, yung mga lalong-lalo na sa mga rural areas, no? So the main goal of PSP is to shift the current financial system into a cash-like society and drive financial inclusion for unbanked population and accelerate digital economy. So dalawa ang goal ng ano no ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Cash-light society and drive financial inclusion. So paano 'yun? Cash-light economy, so ito yung heavy reliance no natin sa physical cash or physical money, which is costly and risky to handle. So digital payments, e-wallets, QR, reduce transaction costs, minimize theft risk, and improve efficiency for business and consumers. So financial inclusion, ito yung nabanggit kanina na main goal ng BSP. So it promotes digital payments, lowering costs, expanding access for the unbanked, especially micro entrepreneurs or low-income segments through an inclusive digital ecosystem, improving service via data-driven innovation, and fostering digital literacy. So financial inclusion, access for underserved. Digital payments allow unbanked and underserved populations to access formal financial services without needing traditional bank branches. So mas marami na ang makakalahok sa pag-ikot ng ekonomiya dahil hanggang sa malalayong lugar ay maaari nang makapagbangko sa pamamagitan ng fintech. So number 2, economic empowerment. So digital wallets enable small value transactions, helping individuals manage uneven income and expenses. So kahit maliit lang yung laman ng e-wallets, nakakapag-transact ka pa rin no via fintech. Yun yung isang advantage. And then, of course, the most important, as a country, so accelerating economic growth. So according to Philippine Statistics Authority, released April 2024, the Philippine digital economy grew to about 35.4 billion in 2023, with digital payments acting as a core driver. And also, a 2025 study uses panel data across multiple countries, examined the relationship between digital payments and gross domestic product or GDP growth, which provides evidence that a 1% rise in digital payment adoption can boost GDP growth by 6 to 8% of its current growth rate. So napakalaking tulong, napakalaking ambag ng fintech for the growth of our economy. So examples of fintech, so very familiar na tayo, GCash, GoTime Bank, GCash, a leading wallet for sending money, paying bills, buying loans, accessing, and investment insurance. So it's very important also to businessmen, no? Kasi mas napapabilis kagaya niyan kung let's say magbabayad tayo sa supplier, madali na lang, no? Via bank. So napakabilis na lang din ang access. PayMongo and Tala, kasama din yung alam natin, very familiar tayo sa mga lending apps, Bilis, Home Credit. So what are the relevant laws that govern fintech? Anti-Financial Account Scamming Act, a recent landmark law holding banks and e-wallets accountable for customer fund protection and penalizing scammers. Another, yung Data Privacy Act of 2012. Since kapag nag-enroll ka or mag-submit ka sa fintech, like for example, GCash and other apps, e-wallet apps, you're obliged to submit personal information. So it is the Data Privacy Act of 2012 that regulates handling of personal data, requiring consent, DPO appointment, and breach notification. Anti-money laundering laws, so mandates money laundering and terrorism financing prevention programs, MTPP. So what are the regulatory agencies that govern fintech? So Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, ito yung pinaka agency na nag-govern ng fintech, no? Regulates digital banks, e-monies, virtual assets, operators of payment systems, and promotes financial inclusion through technology. Another one is SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. So oversees crowdfunding, initial coin offerings, crypto asset providers, and digital asset exchanges with its Philippine Tech Innovation Office, managing innovation. So meron din tayong Insurance Commission and National Privacy Commission and Anti-Money Laundering Council o AMLAC. Oversees AML, CFT compliance for covered fintechs. So, a case, no? One of the most recent case regarding fintech, particularly sa lending issues. So, Grace M. Tremillos versus F-Cash Global Lending Incorporated, GR number 25530, decided by the Supreme Court November 14, 2025. So, what's the violation? The violation is F-Cash access Tremillos phone contracts. So, pinakialaman ng F-Cash yung very private information, phone contacts ng client nila, no? Without authority and sent messages to them, falsely claiming they were guarantors and demanding payment for her loan. So the legal basis, this was a breach of Data Privacy Act of 2012, na-mention nating law kanina, and prohibited unfair debt collection practices under SEC rules. So ruling, F-Cash was ordered to pay Grace Tremillos nominal damages, 15,000 pesos, for violating the Data Privacy Act. So another one, digital assets. Punta naman tayo sa digital assets. So what are the digital assets? It is anything that exists only in digital form, uniquely identifiable, has value or usage, and comes with distinct permission for use. So example, e-funds, no? For example, in our e-wallets, meron tayong lamang money. So it's called e-fund or e-money. So that's also considered a digital assets. So anything na nasa bank and electronically operated, so digital assets na yun. So digital assets benefit the Philippines by boosting financial inclusion also for the unbanked. Ganun din. Cutting remittance cost for OFWs. So mas madali ang remittance ng mga OFWs. Fueling e-commerce growth and offering new investment creator opportunities through lower fees, faster transactions, and traceable systems, supporting a shift towards a more efficient cash-like digital economy. So, examples, very familiar din tayo, no? Cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens. So, cryptocurrencies, ang example niyan yung Bitcoin, Ethereum, and non-fungible tokens, meron naman tayong digital art. So, mga items ito, no? Na kung saan unique items na we can sell in different digital asset platforms, virtual real estate, unique brand collections from Filipino creators. So to further understand Bitcoin, so I have included short steps on how to invest in Bitcoin. So first, choose a crypto exchange platform like PDAX, so website. We're going to sign up in a website and verify account by uploading IDs, same process, parang GCash din. Then link mo yung cash mo, for you to cash in, link mo yung bank mo, particularly UB Bank, may ganito sa UB Bank. And then, pag na link mo na yung bank account mo, you can buy or sell Bitcoin and review the conversion rate. You may sell it or keep it until the value increases. So, ganun din yung non-fungible tokens. So, using your GCash or GCrypto, yung code mo lang yung magiging 12-word phrase mo. And then, go to PDAX and coins.ph and doon mag-register ka rin sa OpenSea for you to sell your NFT or buy NFT or non-fungible tokens. So what are the relevant laws? So one is Electronic Commerce Act of 2000, or also known as Republic Act 8792, or E-Commerce Act, provides the legal foundation for the enforceability of electronic contracts and transactions, giving them the same legal effect as traditional paper-based transactions. So again, same then, no? Data Privacy Act of 2012 regulates how organizations collect, process, and protect personal data, which is highly relevant for digital asset service providers that handle customer information. And another one, Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. So criminalizes various cyber offenses such as hacking, so mga hacker, no? And identity theft, establishing the legal basis for digital forensics and evidence preservation in the digital realm. And the last law is Internet Transactions Act of 2023, or Republic Act 11967, focuses on promoting safe e-commerce environment and protecting consumers in online transactions overseen by DTI. So regulatory agencies, ganun din, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Securities and Exchange Commission or SEC, and of course the Anti-Money Laundering Council or AMLAC. So recently, a news was posted December 2, 2025, na ang headlines niya is funds from flood control scam being laundered through crypto. So how will the government combat this serious illegal activity? So dito papasok na yung pangatlo nating topic, which is regulatory technology. It's more on regulation, no? In the Philippines, regulatory technology or RegTech uses AI, machine learning, and big data to automate and enhance financial compliance, especially for money laundering, AML, by streamlining transaction monitoring or know your customer and reporting, making it faster, more efficient, and proactive in detecting and preventing illicit financial activities like money laundering. So, RegTech examples, artificial intelligence or AI, machine learning for risk identification, fraud detection, so mas mabilis na nating madedetect, no? Yung mga fraud, no? And automated reporting. So, next is big data analytics, yung mga anomalous patterns, madali na rin madetect using this kind of technology. And blockchain, so it is a shared secure digital record book or ledger distributed across many computers where transactions are grouped into blocks that are cryptographically linked in a chain, making them permanent and unchangeable. So nandun na lahat ng information, no? Ng pwedeng kunin ng AMLAC in case na magkaroon ng investigation regarding illegal activities or money laundering. Madali na siyang ma-retrieve. So regulatory agencies naman nito ay Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, pa rin, uses RegTech to oversee financial institutions, Agent Registry Systems or ARS, a key BSP RegTech tool for tracking agent networks, boosting consumer protection. And fintech regulation, so the government is developing frameworks like Senate Bill number 2781 to basically to modernize public payments and support fintech growth, indicating a broader RegTech adoption. So relevant laws, yun pa rin, no? Data Privacy Act 2012 protects personal data, crucial for RegTech. Electronic Commerce Act of 2000 or RA 8792, E-Commerce Act, which validates electronic transactions and documents, forming the legal basis for digital processes. And then the Internet Transactions Act of 2023 or RA 11967. Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2001, RA 9160, So it regulates customer due diligence and transaction reporting, and Financial Products and Services Consumer Protection Act, or RA 11765, imposes, as of 2022, strict institution-wide risk management and consumer protection standards on financial providers. So the last law is Department of Information and Communications Technology Act of 2015. And it is enacted as Republic Act number 10844 on May 23, 2016, serve as a cornerstone for regulatory technology in the Philippines by establishing the primary authority responsible for national ICT policy, cybersecurity, and digital infrastructure. It directly influences RegTech by fostering an environment for electronic, secure, and compliant digital services. So as a summary, fintech refers mainly on technology, platforms, and processes that enables financial transaction. So yung transact niya naman ay yung digital assets natin, which are items or instruments. And then, ang magre-regulate naman nun, ng mga process nun ay ang ating regulatory technology or RegTech, which refers to the use of technology to manage and automate regulatory compliance. And that concludes my report for today. Thank you po.
Okay, again, a foundational legal reference is Dicine versus Secretary of Justice, no, GR number 20335, no, February 11, 2014, where the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of most provision of the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, no, RA 10175, while not a fintech case per se, the ruling is crucial for digital finance because it affirms the state's authority to regulate online transaction, no, electronic fraud, no, hacking, and computer-related offenses. For businesses engaged in digital payments, online lending, crypto trading platforms, and reg tech solutions, the case confirmed that cyberspace is fully subject to Philippine criminal and commercial law. Equally important is SEC versus Prosperity.com Inc. No, GR number 164197, no, January 25, 2012, which involves an online investment scheme. No, the Supreme Court ruled that securities regulation applies regardless of the platform used, emphasizing that digital or internet-based operations do not exempt businesses from registration, disclosure, and investor protection requirements. And this case laid the groundwork for the SEC current regulatory stance now on digital assets and virtual asset service providers, making it clear that technological innovation does not override legal compliance. So Philippine jurisprudence, no, and regulatory practice show that fintech and digital asset activities are governed by existing legal principles adapted to the new technologies. No? So based on the SEC and the Prosperity.com case, no, the Supreme Court held that the substance of a transaction, not the technology used, determines whether it falls under security regulations. So this doctrine is highly relevant to crypto-based fundraising, token offerings, and online investment platforms, reminding businesses that digital innovation does not shield them from licensing, disclosure, and anti-fraud obligations under the Security Exchange Code, a regulation code, or the RA 8799. In the area of digital transaction and consumer protection, no, Spouses Abad versus Philippine National Bank of GR number 204726, no, December 5, 2018, reinforces the enforceability of electronic banking transaction and the duty of banks to exercise extraordinary diligence in protecting depositors. Although the case involved traditional banking, its principles apply directly to fintech firms offering e-wallets, no, mobile banking, and payment platforms. The ruling highlights that Technology-driven financial services must maintain robust internal controls, cybersecurity measures, and customer safeguard of risk, liability, or losses and damages. So taking together with Dicini versus Secretary of Justice, these cases demonstrate that the Philippine legal system supports financial innovation while imposing clear accountability standards. So for business organization, fintech and regtech adoption must be aligned with laws on, sabi nga ni presenter, cybersecurity, no? Securities regulations, Data Privacy Act of 2012, and Anti-Money Laundering Law or AMLA as amended, no? Compliance automation through RegTech is therefore not merely a cost-saving tool, but a strategic legal necessity, ensuring that digital business models remain lawful, trustworthy, and sustainable in the increasingly regulated digital economy. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay, so